Good evening. You're listening to Clone Hour on International Clone Public Radio, broadcasting on the London frequency 107.3 FM. It's Monday, the 30th of November, 2499. The weather in the Grand London area is snowy. Cyclists and walkers are expected to adhere with severe weather laws and to seek shelter immediately when the sirens ring. We begin Clone Hour with a story, not one of the humankind or one from our era, a story of our peoples, Jonas Clones, a species, or look-alikes the humans call us, united under the blue diagonal stripes surrounded by yellow westward and pink eastward. Our story begins around 477 years ago at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada. A group of students working in the science room successfully used genetics and an element called beryllium, the latter discovered by Russian scientists months prior, to clone a human DNA strand, creating clone number 0. Based on photographic evidence, this clone looked nothing like the Jonas clones we know and love today. A young Quebecian student going by the name of Olivier Levesque, one of the witnesses of the original experiment unfolding, decides to try a variant of the experiment by taking some DNA she collected at a hairdresser's while in New Zealand. The latter unknown as to how it got over the border. Things like that shouldn't occur, and using it in a machine built to replicate DNA instructions. However, a miscalculation on her behalf on the 30th of November 2026, exactly 473 years prior to this broadcast, failed to specify how much beryllium was needed for one clone, let alone 30. She put in too much, roughly 370 kgs worth of the element. This caused the machine to backfire and the back of the machine to explode, killing her and several other individuals. However, they left the world not knowing the chaos that would follow this brutal event. As flames soared through the roof of the university, many observers on the outside of the building noticed something off. A thick green smoke was emitting from the building, vastly different from the average black smoke produced by fire. When it entered the lungs of already existing life forms, it caused them to mutate into various creatures. Many humans that were directly exposed the first time were mutated into tall, green, muscular creatures known today as granophones. The granophones and the green gas shocked the Canadian government, who warned the United States government to be careful as the gas began to multiply and spread globally, causing a global catastrophe. The human race, scared of what human progress had led to, fled into places like underground train lines, basements, and large cupboards, to name a few. But the gas had a trick up its sleeve. Because of its complexity, the gas could fit through cracks not covered by a sticky, versatile paste called Mabby glue, named after John Mabby, who was arrested in July 2021 after painting the walls and the roof of the entire New York subway system with the invisible paste. Mabby was later credited as saving the human race, but this would not be a permanent shelter for the species, as back in the Vancouver labs, something was brewing, a very clone-like problem. The first Jonas clone batches came out of the machine at 5:47 a.m. Western Time on December the 1st, 2026. Oddly, they were confused, having been born to a world covered in green gas and cannibalist mutants. But this was not the first of their worries. Their worry was what to make of their new world. They searched the university, reading books, listening to audio stories, and eating whatever food was available in the buildings. Eventually, as the years flowed by, the clones grew bored of their Canadian home and spread globally in search of different pastures. Many Jonas clones, however, decided to stay at the university, forming the Vancouver Clone University Insiders, mainly known as the Insiders or just VCI. The VCI remained active until 2402, when an argument between clones caused the group to split up and leave the university, the decision later leading to the infestation of Titan crawlers and later the building's partial collapse. The most famous VCI member, clone number 11, lives on today, albeit with his whole left half cut off and replaced with a cybernetic metal computer. So much for the she's all right one, right? Sorry. The species searched far and wide, seeing fallen landmarks, narrowly dodging slaughter attempts, even encountering humans once in an encounter we learn in school today as the First Great War. However, this is story for another time. Eventually, Jonas Clone Number One and a band of mercenaries made their way to the islands of New Zealand, where they repaired and declared Auckland City, the Jonas Clones' global capital. Following this, an extensive period of peace and harmony proceeded. Landmarks were repaired to their status pre-gas, landscapes were shifted and reformed to suit the current progress, and a general agreement of global unity was achieved. But this, like everything, would not last for long. On July the 8th, 2302, a Jonas clone consumed a lethal dose of beryllium mixed with carthagium, one of beryllium's side effect gases, and became a green-colored, rotting, cannibalistic-looking creature that exhibited characteristics of a zombie. The zombies we know today have since mutated so the latter can fly, swim, and dig burrows, but the ones existent back in the day could only wander and consume Jonas clones. The zombies conquered several island regions before the number of zombies globally decreased sharply due to a weather front across the coasts of Asia and Australia. Jonas Clone Number One, who now takes residence in a house on an Auckland mountain, remained trapped in New Zealand with the hope of the species finally saving him in the near future. As we continued on, the Jonas clones proceeded towards a second era of peace. With the zombie population down, granophone and titan crawler numbers dwindling, the Mediterranean reformed into a river by landscape modification, and a general pleasing of the population, perhaps we may live on. After all, the 26th century is nearing our planet Earth, and we may just reach that big 2600. Only time can tell. Our programming continues now with a news report. Several sources near the West China wasteland inform us that crime around the regions of Kazakhstan, Russia, and Kyrgyzstan are high. Authorities say all arrested individuals were all connected to each other, as their identification papers included a red torch in the middle.